in the quiet, freezing heart of the Ardennes, December 1944. The American lines, stretched thin and manned by boys fresh from training, believed the war was over. This complacency was the enemy's greatest ally. The American command, from Eisenhower down, made the fatal error. They turned the entire dense Ardennes forest into a rest home, deeming it too rugged for a serious German attack. This confidence was a lie, a strategic miscalculation that would cost nearly 20,000 American lives. This is the uncut story of the Battle of the Bulge. On December 16th at 5:30 in the morning, the silence was shattered by a massive artillery barrage designed not just to destroy, but to terrorize. The target was not the front line. It was American morale, the medical tents, the communication hubs, the places where GIs thought they were safe. The German spearhead, led by SS divisions and the last of the powerful Tiger tanks, moved with terrifying speed. In the northern sector, 3 American regiments, largely untrained, were instantly cut off and destroyed. The initial days were marked by panic and chaos, creating the massive, bloody bulge in the Allied line. But the chaos quickly gave way to horror. Near Malmédy, SS troops under Joachim Peiper captured over 80 unarmed American prisoners of war. They lined them up in a field, and in a sickening act of pure malice, they opened fire. Over 84 Americans were murdered in cold blood. This wasn't just a war crime, it was an intelligence failure, and it became the unexpected turning point. The news of the Malmédy Massacre spread like wildfire. The option to surrender vanished. Fear was replaced by a cold, righteous rage. Small, isolated American units, knowing capture meant death, fought to the absolute last man, buying precious hours with their lives. They slowed the unstoppable German machine to a grinding halt, one desperate roadside battle at a time. Their sacrifice, born out of necessity and rage, prevented Hitler's entire master plan from succeeding. The strategic heart of the battle lay in the small Belgian town of Bastogne. The key road junction was held by the famed 101st Airborne Division, surrounded, outnumbered, and utterly frozen. The weather was a German weapon. Dense fog grounded the powerful Allied Air Force, leaving the paratroopers alone in the brutal cold. For days, the Screaming Eagles held their thin perimeter without adequate food, medicine, or winter gear. The suffering was absolute. Medics struggled to save men from frostbite and shrapnel in dark, frozen basements. When the German commander demanded their surrender, General McAuliffe's famous one-word reply, "Nuts!" became the rallying cry for a beleaguered nation. But the true miracle was happening hundreds of miles away. General George S. Patton, Jr., known for his aggressive spirit, was ordered to stop his advance south and wheel his entire Third Army 90 degrees to relieve Bastogne. In an unprecedented logistical feat, Patton moved over 133,000 men and 40,000 vehicles in just 3 days. This was a gamble of titanic proportions. The moment the fog lifted, revealing a clear winter sky, the American Air Force returned with a vengeance. The skies, which had been silent for days, thundered with P-47s descending on German supply columns, turning the roads into miles-long funeral pyres of German steel. On December 26th, Patton's spearhead broke the German line and reached the exhausted men of the 101st. The siege was lifted, but the battle to crush the Bulge was just beginning. This was the turning point, the moment when American determination and sheer industrial might crushed the final desperation of the Nazi regime. The counterattack was a brutal, slow, month-long grind through deep snow and sub-zero temperatures. This phase revealed the cracks in the American war machine, the failure of equipment. Many American soldiers lacked proper winter gear. Cases of frostbite and trench foot were rampant, sidelining thousands more men than enemy fire. Soldiers were often forced to wear ill-fitting, inadequate footwear, turning the white landscape into a frozen health crisis. The U.S. military was prepared for mud, but not for this level of extreme, relentless cold. The failure of race. This battle also exposed the hypocrisy of American segregation. Desperate for manpower, the military finally integrated segregated African American supply and service units into combat roles alongside white troops for the first time. These men, fighting for a country that denied them basic rights back home, fought with incredible bravery and distinction. Their unrecognized heroism was a silent but powerful victory against institutionalized racism. The failure of leadership. Though McAuliffe and Patton are lauded, the battle also saw several spectacular failures of command, with commanders refusing to believe intelligence and others stubbornly throwing men into meat grinders without proper support. The high casualty rate was a direct result of hubris and a lack of preparedness for a truly defensive enemy. As the Allies pushed the German troops back, they liberated villages and uncovered the true cost of the invasion, not just the Malmédy Massacre, but the systematic murder of civilians and resistance fighters. The ground was littered not just with destroyed equipment, but with the frozen, silent testimony of Hitler's final, desperate barbarity. By late January 1945, the lines were back where they started, but the price paid by the American soldier was unforgettable. The Battle of the Bulge was officially the most devastating battle in U.S. Army history. Yet, the numbers only tell part of the story. The unseen wounds. Many surviving soldiers returned home, carrying invisible scars. The psychological toll of weeks of constant shelling, freezing isolation, and the unedited brutality of close-quarters combat led to widespread post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. For a generation told to be tough, these silent wounds were often dismissed as shell shock or weakness, forcing veterans to suppress the trauma that defined their young lives. The war did not end for them on the battlefield. It came home and stayed hidden behind closed doors. The global impact. The battle bled the German army dry. Every tank, every man, every drop of fuel committed to the Ardennes meant one less resource available to defend against the Soviet behemoth in the east. By sacrificing their final reserves against the West, Hitler guaranteed the swift, inevitable victory of the Soviet army in 1945. The American sacrifice in the Bulge directly hastened the end of the entire war. The final truth. The Battle of the Bulge is not just a tale of American victory, it is a profound story of human endurance, catastrophic failure, and ultimate redemption. It proved that American industrial might and strategic genius could be overwhelmed by a surprise attack, but that the spirit of the young American soldier, the average GI, would never be broken. They fought for a flag, they fought for their friends, and they fought with an unyielding courage born out of the purest sense of desperation. The cost was staggering, the fighting was savage, and the scars are permanent. This is the truth of the American tide, unedited and unforgotten. This has been War Stories Uncut. Thank you for diving deep with us.